name is James Callender and I'm the Director of Business Solutions for Australia and New Zealand. And today I am joined by the incredible Rany Moran to explore the impact of financial stress upon mental health and well-being. Before I introduce Rany, I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people who are a clan of the Eora Nation, whose country I am recording this podcast from today. Australian Indigenous culture is widely known and well regarded as a culture shared through stories. Sharing stories and experiences is a really special way, I think, in which we can communicate with one another and through which we feel a sense of belonging. Rany is a Sydney-based counsellor, entrepreneur, professional coach and certified facilitator from the Virtues Project, a global initiative honoured by the United Nations. Rany brings a unique approach to coaching and counselling that focuses on developing the virtues of compassion and resilience. Welcome, Rany.
Thank you, James, for the introduction. It's good to see you again.
Rany, let's dive straight into the middle of this topic. What are the root causes of financial stress that impacts so many professionals?
This is an important topic and very relevant, isn't it, James? Even if you are in a secure job at the moment, a secure financial position, it's really hard not to internalize the external messages we are constantly receiving. So no one is really immune to this overarching stress and anxiety, especially professionals. So, James, financial stress among professionals is not just about numbers in bank account. It's a complex interplay of knowledge, behaviors, access, life events, and self-advocacy. And some of the root causes, first one, the knowledge gap, planning, skills, and goals. Many professionals excel in their specific fields, but may lack basic financial knowledge. And this gap can lead to uninformed decisions and missed opportunities. And we know without a financial plan or clear goals, even high earners can find themselves living paycheck to paycheck. So it's not about how much you earn, James, but really how you manage what you earn. I give you an example. Just consider a surgeon, top in her field, but without knowledge of investments, her earnings, while substantial, might not be optimized for future growth. And the second root cause could be problematic money behaviors, emotional spending. Because for some, spending can be a way to cope for stress, leading to a vicious cycle of increasing financial strain. Many professionals overspend as a form of retail therapy. And this, it's this inability to delay immediate pleasures for long-term benefits that really hinder financial growth and stability of someone. So I give you an example. Let's just say a successful lawyer might splurge on luxury items after a hard case. The person is seeking emotional relief, but what happens? This can lead to long-term financial repercussions. And the third root cause, James, is the accessibility dilemma. Some professionals, despite their qualifications, might not have access to the right financial resources or tools. Especially in our digital age now, information is just so abundant. So discerning quality advice from noise can be so challenging. The fourth root cause, I think it's unpredictable curveballs. Could be redundancy, health issues, legal troubles, or personal losses. And these can severely impact one's financial stability, of course. And the fifth one, and this is really, really unique, confidence in asking. Very interesting. So many professionals, despite their expertise, might lack the confidence to ask for a raise or negotiate a right package that mirrors their true value. We know negotiation is an art, right? But not everyone is equipped with the skill to advocate for themselves effectively. And the last one is money beliefs and meaning. James, financial stress is a complex issue because it is really deeply intertwined with our thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, and identities, many of which are shaped by our upbringing and societal conditioning. If someone believes that money is the root of all evil, for example, this belief leads them to feel guilty about earning or saving money. Or they might think they should always be self-reliant and never ask for financial help. Or another case, if someone grew up in a family where money was always scarce and a source of conflict, they might then develop a scarcity mindset, fearing there will never be enough money, or they could lose it all at any moment, believing that, oh my God, I will go bankrupt because I'm late on one payment. So although financial advice and planning are crucial for professionals, they don't necessarily address the underlying emotional and psychological impacts of financial stress, in my opinion, or get to the root of what makes financial stress happen in the first place. And when we know the root cause of financial stress, we can then mitigate the impact.
It truly does shine a light on the fact that one size does not fit all from an organizational perspective, Rany. Now, according to the Harvard Business Review, strategy and culture are among the primary levers on top of the top leaders' disposal in their never-ending quest to maintain organizational viability and effectiveness. So these are their top tools, essentially. Now, while strategy offers a formal logic for the company's goals and orients people around them, culture, on the other hand, expresses goals through values and beliefs and guides activity through shared assumptions and group norms. Rany, how does money shape corporate culture and performance?
This is important for us to explore how our individual relationships with money can shape not only our personal lives, but also the very fabric of our workplaces. Your question, how does money shape corporate culture? Let's have a look at a couple of angles here. The first one is the personal meaning of money or individual attachment. Money is not just a medium of exchange. For many of us, it represents security, power, freedom, or even self-worth. And we know, as I mentioned earlier, our upbringing, personal experiences, and societal influences shape our relationship with money. I'll give you an example. So just consider these two owners of business. Just say one is John, right? Grew up in a financially unstable household, and the other owner, Sarah, who was taught the value of savings from a young age. So John might be driven by the immediate need for financial security, and the other owner, Sarah, might prioritize long-term financial growth. So their individual attachments to money will definitely influence their work decisions as owners and their interactions with their employees in strategic planning or reviewing budget, and even clients or even suppliers. And let's have a look at the other angle, is the money meaning and making style. An employer's financial philosophy can really determine the company's investment strategies, risk tolerance, James, and even employee benefits. A risk-averse employer might prioritize stable growth, while risk-tolerant one might chase aggressive expansion. And from the perspective of employees, they bring their beliefs into the workplace. Some might prioritize job security over high pay, while others might seek commission-based roles to maximize earnings, right? If they are not being put in the right job, right role, right organization with the same money values and money making and style, conflicts can happen. Companies' growth can be hindered. Job satisfaction can be stunted. So it's really important to have shared beliefs. When employees and employers have aligned financial values, it fosters a harmonious corporate culture. However, if there is misalignment, that one can lead to tension. And another perspective is performance metrics, the way a company measures success. can be influenced by its financial philosophy or culture. Is success rapid growth, steady profits, or improved well-being? Example, if company prides itself on reinvesting profits for growth but doesn't provide competitive salaries, what will happen? It might face friction with employees who prioritize immediate financial rewards. Or another example, if sales team might be pushed to close deals quickly to boost quarterly numbers, potentially sacrificing long-term relationships, what will happen? Conflict with employees who believe in building lasting client relationship for sustained revenue, right? And in terms of affecting performance, financial incentives, we know it can be powerful motivators. However, excessive financial stress can be paralyzing, leading to decreased productivity. So if you have an employee burdened with debt, they might be distracted at work, worrying about bills or seeking additional income sources. And conversely, an employee who feels financially secure and valued might be more focused and engaged. So really understanding the profound impact of our relationship with money is so crucial for both employers and employees, because by recognizing and respecting diverse financial perspectives, we really can foster a corporate culture that not only thrives economically, but also supports the well-being of its members. So I really want to encourage everyone, employers, to just reflect on our own relationship with money and consider how it influences our interactions, decisions, and relationships. So understand ourselves first, then we can better understand others and work towards harmonious and productive workplace, James.
That's quite insightful, Rany, because if we reflect on some of the companies either that we are most familiar with or those that we have worked for in the past, how are their strategic goals orientated, and where does the importance lie between financial targets as well as broader safety and wellbeing targets, which are some of the shifts that we are seeing here in corporate Australia at the moment. And then you can take another view, whereby if an employee works for an organisation that may need to disclose their financial results, as an example, here in Australia with the Australian Securities Exchange, often that can cause some animosity or some angst internally within that organisation, particularly if the organisation has done particularly well, but you've got individuals who are experiencing personal financial stress, and how that plays out internally as part of that corporate culture and corporate fabric.
Absolutely, yes.
Rany, a recent NAB survey conducted in March 2023, so fairly recently, indicated that 40% of Australians are experiencing some form of financial difficulty. How does financial stress affect an employee's physical and mental health?
Yeah, financial stress really can lead to a range of intense emotions, which can impact every aspect of life, from work performance to relationships. From the perspective of mental health, what are the impacts? It can include anxiety, depression, fear, shame, low self-esteem and self-worth. People tend to neglect their self-care, isolate themselves socially, and can cause relationship strain. People can have mental overload, and it can also lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms such as smoking, excessive alcohol, or overeating. Some people, to cope with the rising cost of living, we are seeing people eating fast food more than more expensive, healthier options, and not attending to their self-care and even their medical needs. And financial stress can have impact in physical health too, like headaches, sleep problems, digestive issues, even decreased immune function, James, fatigue and exhaustion. And of course, there is the risk of people turning to alcohol or drugs in an effort to make the pain disappear. And if it's not being managed well from a mental health support perspective, this can lead, as we can see more and more, in suicidal ideation.
And sometimes the physical aspects are easier to see on the outside.
Yes.
Rany, can you help us understand maybe some ways that a manager could recognize that one of their team members is facing financial difficulties, financial stress, etc.?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be very straightforward here. There is no direct way to do it because it is really challenging for managers to recognize stress in employees due to the personal and often private nature of financial issues, right? Why is it difficult? Because we know there are a lot of secrecy about money in society. Most people feel uncomfortable discussing what they earn or have trouble asking for raise, for example. I'm sure many of our listeners can relate to this. So there are a lot of tendency that people outwardly trying to hide it or even keep up with the Joneses and others to feel like they need to downplay their financial position because that fear of judgment, for example. But what I could probably give some insights is signs that you can look out for. First is they might probably frequently request an advance salary or loan, changes in their behavior or personal grooming due to cost-cutting measures. You can see signs of stress like irritability, mood swings, anxiety or depression, decreased productivity or signs of fatigue or exhaustion, possibly from working multiple jobs, an increased reliance on overtime or additional shifts or refusal to take time off. Reluctance to participate in office activities that require personal spending, such as team lunches or gifts. And another sign that you could look for is the increased absenteeism, which could be a result of health issues. So while these signs can indicate financial stress, they could also point to other issues. So it's really important for all managers to approach this situation sensitively, respecting the employee's privacy while offering support and resources if appropriate.
And money is still very much a taboo topic, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And it's such a delicate line for people leaders amongst us who have the interest of their team members at heart, their best interests at heart, but also not necessarily wanting to overstep. And I feel that would potentially cause many people leaders a degree of anxiety. Do you think?
Of course. It's a difficult boundaries and line to cross. And most of the leaders are also thinking, okay, how do I approach this? Am I going to open a can of worm here? If I ask, then will that then lead me to potentially me being liable for more sort of like support? So that sort of dilemma also is going on in a lot of the leaders of organization mind.
And I think also in that respect is like what you mentioned before, that everybody has a different money story, that leaders within organizations could be undergoing their own financial stress. And so you have this complex web of individual money stories that are going inside of an organization. And the larger the organization, the more stories that are floating around. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What types of tools are there available for employers, leaders, etc., to help team members that either we feel may be under financial stress or who have been vulnerable enough to express that they are experiencing financial stress?
Yeah, I guess probably the right question here is not only looking at tools, but role. that organizations can actually take on, not only in preparing and educating the employees to prevent them from having that financial stress, but also in helping the employees who are actually having that financial stress itself, right, James? The first one, probably, let's just talk about the role that organizations can play to prepare and educate the employees on their financial well-being. So prevention, I am a big believer of prevention is always the best approach to do that as well. So we know that organization can play a significant role by integrating financial well-being strategies, because we know organizations are not only economic entities operating in isolation, right? We know that organizations, they are actually transformative hubs that hold different human potential, aspirations, and as these hubs, organizations hold a unique power and responsibility. When we talked about financial well-being, the conversation often starts and stops at compensation. But I really urge every organization and every employee to think beyond that, because financial well-being is not just about the numbers in one's bank account, as I mentioned before. It is about understanding those numbers, knowing how to grow them, how to manage them, and how to protect them, right? So just consider this, for example, financially stressed employees is not just grappling with bills and loans, but that stress also permeates their mental well-being, their focus, their interaction, and their overall well-being in their life. So just imagine the collective impact on an organization filled with such stressed individuals. It's not only just a personal crisis, but it is an organizational one. So just think about that for a moment, and pivot our perspective, envision an organization where every individual, regardless of their rank or role, has clarity about their financial trajectory, such as, an example where organization would not just have employees, but they also nurture their financial stewards. These financial stewards will not only drive the company's economic growth, but also champion their own financial destinies. And the ripple effect, it would touch families, communities, and even mold the financial wisdom of future generation, right? So to answer one of your questions, I believe one of the tools is that organizations can play a role in preparing and educating employees on financial well-being. The organization should be the torch bearers, the educators, and the catalyst. The financial well-being of their employees lies the true wealth and future of the organization. How can they do this? First, financial education programs such as workshops, one-on-one counseling, or online courses that can educate employees about budgeting, investing, retirement planning, and managing debt. Creating a supportive culture as well, James, and an open dialogue that can help destigmatize and make employees more likely to take advantage of the offered resources. Lack of financial education and literacy is the reason why money remains a taboo subject. We mentioned about that before. There is a shame of financial ignorance and the mistakes that result. That's why the money taboo keeps us silent, preventing open discussions that could lead to better financial habits, practices, and perspectives. So it's so important for organizations to normalize these issues and for employees to realize that financial stress can be a solvable problem. A lot of resources, a lot of tools to help with that money literacy, mental health and well-being, attitudes to money can affect as well. If an organization has different generations of employees, especially with that digital natives, a kind of generation of employees who are so used to instant gratification, instant access to information, people and products. So we need to also consider a different approach to manage different sort of like generations to help them with their financial planning. Also, employers can help implement a culture of incorporating money into day-to-day conversation. So make it as a collaborative discussions across departments regarding budgets and sales target, and have that transparency that can foster trust, inform decision making, and promotes collective ownership of organizational outcome, right? And also crucial at this time for employers to read the room. If staff are feeling financial stress, it's not a time for a flashy culture with lavish work events. So role modeling is a very important tool as well, to create that well-being and balance without a work till you drop culture being implemented in the organization. This could also foster a positive mindset towards dealing with financial stress itself. So taking this preventive role, organizations can empower their employees to utilize tools and resources that is available. And another flip side, what happened then if the organizations identify some employees that experience personal financial stress? So some people who are listening to this podcast who are listening to us might be thinking, well, organization could just pay the staff more and that would fix the problem, right? Although I think inflation rising at a higher rate than wages is an issue, but more money in your pocket is not necessarily going to be cure-all for a lot of people. Our financial behaviors are often driven by deep-seated beliefs that we might not even aware of. How many of us have really delved into our money beliefs and financial behaviors shaped by our upbringing? Not many, maybe, because we know we may overspend as a way to cope with stress or seek validation. Or some of us probably may resort to high-risk investment or gambling as a potential of quick fix or completely ignore the financial problem. So it's not as simple as, let's just give employee pay rise or financial training. Company must adapt holistic approach by first offering mental health support. Why is it important? Mental health support is the key component of managing financial stress. The tools, employee assistance programs, brilliant resource for employees and really designed to support their well-being in workplace and personal life, because that support can provide tools, coping and behavior mechanism, strategies, and then how to improve overall well-being. And by mental health support, individuals can identify, change their unhealthy behavioral pattern, right? And help as well with future planning. A second strategy that company can adopt is to create a supportive environment that not only address financial challenges, but also empowers employees to approach them with a positive, growth-oriented mindset. Open dialogue, feedback mechanism, create channels where employees can voice their financial concerns or provide feedback on company policies. That open communications create that space and platform for your teams about financial benefits, compensation, any changes that might affect their financial stability. And have that empowering conversations in your meetings, in your team meetings. Train your team to shift conversation from what's lacking or out of control to what's available and within control. This reframing can move the mindset from languishing to flourishing, right? And encourage a shift from scarcity mindset to an opportunity and solution-oriented mindset. And also, organization can start celebrating financial milestones. Recognize and acknowledge employees who achieve significant financial milestones, such as paying off student loans or buying a home, create that space where we can celebrate all those employees who have achieved that financial milestones, right? So we can promote that culture of financial responsibility and diversity training. So that managers and team leaders can understand the diverse financial backgrounds, the diverse financial meanings and making style, and how to challenge their team in appropriate way with challenges that they are facing at the moment. And team building, that can be one of the way as well. So each of the team members can share and understand each other's financial perspectives and fostering empathy and collaboration, James. So whilst we don't control, we can't control financial stress of our employees or even ourselves sometimes, but it is really up to us to learn how to ride it, how to ride this difficult times and how to smoothen out the ride so we can eventually sit back, relax and enjoy life the best way we can. It is really our own choice and responsibility.
I find your perspective so intriguing, Rany, because it's essentially hearing it direct from the employees. Because when they come to you as a counsellor, as a clinician, as a coach, you get the raw feedback. So whilst there are plenty of organisations out there, including workplace options, that will put in place workplace wellbeing programs, and we can consult on putting those programs in place, you hear the raw feedback on what really matters to employees at the end of the day and what is essentially causing them or is a catalyst for them to reach out for assistance through the employee assistance program, for example, or through the manager assistance line. That's the raw feedback of where financial stress is really impacting the everyday Australians that we sit next to at work, we sit next to on the train, or that we share the dinner table with.
Absolutely. And you're right. I hear that directly from the employee's perspective. And it all comes down to two things. They just want transparency. They want the organization to have that open communication. And I would always basically advise that please, organization, talk to your employees and engage them in a discussion on what actually do you need in this financial stress situation. So talk with them, not talk to them, not one way sort of like conversation. It all comes down to that. It is a solvable problem.
And that to me, Rany, is what I find so special about our industry, is that we are in the industry of conversations. That's what you and I do every day. And with Are You OK Day on the 14th of September here in Australia, that is essentially a big part of Are You OK Day, is getting comfortable in conversations and making time to have meaningful conversations with our colleagues, with our team members, with our family members around those key topics that may be causing each of us a little bit of angst. And by being vulnerable in conversation, maybe we find somebody else who is in a similar situation, and we can normalize our experience and collectively build strategies to move forward.
Yes. It really reminds me of the two important laws of life. I'm not sure if you're familiar, James. The Gilbert Law and Wilson Law. Are you familiar with those two laws?
No, please share, especially for our listeners as well.
Yeah, so the first one is the Gilbert Law, basically saying that when you take on a task or role in life, whatever it is, finding the best ways to achieve the desired result is always your responsibility. No one else, your responsibility. So yes, have that conversation with your family, with your colleague, with your organization to really actively listen and really actively listen to yourself too. What is it that I want? What is it that I need in this situation? And work towards solution. And the other law is the Wilson Law. If you prioritize knowledge, money will continue to come. So knowledge is the power here. And
one of my favorite quotes of all time, and it actually came with a picture, was the greatest investment is that in knowledge. And yes. I think that ethos can be applicable in so many different areas. And it's quite nice that we've met on that final note here for our podcast, so that our listeners can really think about the source of their knowledge. And employers, if you are listening, consider what that reliable and relevant source is for you, because as Rany mentioned, there is a lot of information out there in market. A lot of it is unvetted. A lot of it is influenced. And by partnering with a responsible provider in market is a way for you to help your employees, either educate them, provide mental health support through an EAP, or provide manager assistance, because it's most likely your managers and your team leaders who are having these money conversations with your employees, or they are the people who are identifying the physical impacts or the signs in their team members for those that may be under financial stress. Rany, thank you for joining us here. Is there any parting words of advice that you wish to share with our listeners here before we sign off?
Well, my only advice is that start having that conversation with your family members, and start identifying what is my money belief and what is actually my money making style, and how does that affect my relationship and work so far. And always think that financial stress is a solvable problem if everyone involved in the system works together to try to solve it. So that's probably my best advice to close this podcast, James.
It's not permanent. You're right. You can get out of it. Glass half full, see the light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you for joining us, Rany, and may you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me. You too, James. Thank you.